Troy Akin, thank you so much for joining us on the Plant Trainers podcast today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
We are super excited to talk to you, but first we want to know if you have a moment of gratitude to share with us and the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in LA for about 7 years now, and my parents together visited me for the first time this weekend, and we just had the most fun weekend with family and friends. And so I'm just grateful to have such a great family and to be able to share great times with them.
That's fun. Have you been away from them? How long have you been away from them for?
So graduated from college in 2014, and then I've been in LA ever since, and they're in Northern California. So I get to see them a good amount, and both my older brothers are also in San Francisco as well. So definitely get to see family, but being 300 miles away, I don't get to, they do so many fun activities together and I get jealous and get FOMO. So it's nice to spend time with them and do a bunch of activities with them.
Is it like me? I hope my parents aren't listening. It's not like you want to spend time with your parents so badly, and then it's also nice to separate at the end of the trip too.
I would never tell them that, but yes, it is nice to have a little. I love the concentrated time with them, and then I can get back on my own schedule and my own routine. Yes.
Maybe you should cut that out for his sake, so that he can let his parents listen to this podcast.
No, I'm sure he loves them all very much.
Yes.
We all do. No, it is awesome, and I think that's part of relationship. I mean, Adam and I, we travel a lot for work also, and the benefit to being apart is that you get to come back together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, now that we're all done blushing, so you've been away from home for quite a while. When did your lifestyle change in terms of becoming plant-based?
Pretty much 2 years ago now. So I started going plant-based. I honestly just read a Facebook article that said plant-based lifestyle was healthier for you. And being an ex-NC2A athlete, I was just sore all the time. I was tired all the time. And I was like, this just, when you're 17, you don't think about any of that stuff. But as I got 23, 24, 25, I was like, why am I so tired and sore all the time? And just gave it a try. 3 days a week plant-based, 5 days a week. And then after just a long weekend of burgers and shakes and beers, that's obviously not a plant-based thing, but I just felt so horrible. I was like, I'm going full time and doing it, and I loved every minute of it. I felt great. I recovered great. My sleep has gotten better. And so I was like, why would I go back? People ask me all the time, like, okay, great, how long are you going to do this for? You ever going to go back? And I was like, why would I?
And at the beginning, did you ever just have a burger or just have a pizza, and did that affect your body differently, or once you went it was like 100%?
Well, you're saying once I went 100%, because I did start slowly.
You went gradual. Yeah, tell us about your gradual journey.
Yeah, so gradually it was just Monday, Wednesday, Friday was easy, then Monday through Friday, and then Saturdays I would have the breakfast burritos and the late night munchies and all that type of stuff. And so, yeah, you just felt sluggish and you feel so full and you can't do anything afterwards. It's hard to sleep. You just kind of an uncomfortable feeling after stuffing your face with all the meat and dairy. Opposed to now, I go to Chipotle and I get both rices, both beans, the tofu. My burrito is still just the same size, but I don't have the meat and dairy in it. And I get full, but I don't have that feeling anymore. And it's just so nice. And I feel like I could, 20 minutes later, I can go work out again. And so, yeah, that's kind of my journey. I was with my family. I ordered a Beyond Burger and they came out, and I guess we don't know to this day, but it came out and everyone was like, that's a real burger. Yada. I mean, it tasted good, which was sad because I really like Beyond Burgers and Impossible Burgers, but this burger was really good. But the next day I felt really bad. I was still able to function, but just my stomach just hurt the entire next day. The next 24 hours, I just felt bad. And so that's how a burger affected me that I accidentally had.
So it's funny because some of these things look so identical to, what it was before. And then sometimes you don't know. I'm pretty sure that I had a Starbucks the other day and I said soy milk. It said soy milk on the label. And I looked at my kids. I'm like, I don't think this is soy milk. And, I asked them and they said yes, but they probably just looked at the label again and they didn't make it. So
But
Yeah.
for the restaurants, some of them are cooking the Beyond or those plant-based burgers on the same grills as the beef burgers. And sometimes they're using buns that contain egg or dairy that you're not accustomed to. And it could be something simple like that that you don't realize you're getting
Mm-hmm.
when you have
Or the
those.
cheese on the burger can be regular cheese. You have to kind of,
Yeah.
sometimes do a little bit of investigation. But like I say with a lot of my clients, especially some of the ones that I'm working with in terms of supplementation, if they eat something that they're not supposed to, or they don't take their supplements for a couple of days and they feel awful, I kind of say, well, bravo. I don't love that they feel bad. I just love that they have that reminder, and that shows them that what they're doing is actually good for their body.
Yeah, totally. And I think if I haven't had broccoli in a year and I have a piece of broccoli, like I don't think it's going to affect me the way that that burger did. So to your point of, yeah, it's you never know.
Troy, what did you say your sport was?
So my best sport is tennis. I played college tennis. We were a big basketball family growing up. I mean, did all the different sports, but I definitely grew to like tennis the best, and it's still my favorite today. So, but played tennis at Chapman University and still play 3 or 4 times a week now.
So I'm interested, as a young athlete that you were, I want to know, I mean, you mentioned the impact that the diet has on your, with the way you recover, the way your body feels. I want you to speak to the younger athletes, because I work with a lot of teenagers who don't really consider nutrition as important as it should be. And they all think they're invincible. You mentioned this stuff at the beginning, but they think they're invincible, and whatever they eat is just going to get burnt off, and it's not going to have an impact on their performance. So I want you to speak a little bit about how you feel that your nutrition really impacts your performance.
Yeah, I have a lot of things to say on that, but the first thing is I wish I was plant-based my whole life. So I always yell at my mom and dad like, why aren't you putting this stuff in my body? But also I think that, like, especially from a physique standard, even whether you're on a plant-based or a meat diet, like 50% or more is made in the kitchen, on your diet and your nutrition. And so if you're, a 16-year-old kid and you want a 6-pack, like it's going to be diet based. So like that's 50, at least, I mean, you still got to do the abs and the sit-ups and yada yada, but you're not going to get that if you can do as many sit-ups as you want, but if you're not eating healthy, then it's not going to happen. But eating a plant-based diet, I think you get all the proteins, and I mean, you guys probably know the facts better than I do, but like the amount of nutrients that you get in a plant-based protein is so much greater than the nutrients you get in a meat like sure, you get the 20 grams of protein in a steak, but how many calories you get per nutrient is so much less in a meat-based diet than in a plant-based diet. So you get so many more benefits in a plant-based diet.
And your body recovers so much faster. So tell us a little bit, did you go through, like, over the last 2 years, any injuries or anything that you found that you recovered from so much quicker? Or how did you notice your recovery was faster?
Yeah, definitely. So I suffered from turf toe since like my freshman year of college, since like 19 years old. I was an idiot and was learning how to do backflips in a gymnastic gym. And so just one day I got excited and decided to do a backflip on normal ground. And I ended up just slightly under rotating it and just drove my toe into the ground. And so I developed turf toe. I was in a boot for 3 months. It was in the middle of tennis season, so I had to deal with that and during college tennis, and just what an idiot, and so I've dealt with that. I've worn toe spacers in between my toes when I work out and all that type of stuff. I've just had to deal with it my whole life. When it gets cold during the winter, it always bothered me more. In the last 2 years, it hasn't affected me at all. I don't even notice it. I don't think about it anymore. So I'm grateful for that. And I also think I just had poor circulation in my feet, and so maybe that didn't help the recovery process on my turf toe. But my turf toe's gone away. I mean, I always had elbow, shoulder issues from tennis, and I'm sure it helps that I'm not playing 2-3 hours a day anymore. But I feel better, and just the recovery, and it's such a less inflammatory lifestyle that, yeah, I'm a big fan, as are you guys. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. Can you just hold your mic away from your shirt a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when it hits it, it makes it perfect. Thank you. Do you think that had your parents told you about a plant-based lifestyle and wanted you to go plant-based earlier on, you think you actually would have listened?
I think if they had told me about it when I was 14, 15, yeah, probably not. That would have been really tough to convince, especially growing up in an athletic family with two older brothers. You kind of have this machismo kind of eat meat and protein shakes all day long and creatine and all that type of stuff. And so it definitely would have been way harder for me to accept that had I grown up on a plant-based diet, from the beginning. And then I also feel like if you were to do that and then try a piece of steak at 15 years old, you'd be like, what is this texture and this thing bleeding in my mouth? Like that. So I feel like if I, at 2 years old, it would have been great to go on. But yes, it would have been tough at 14, 15 years old.
So I love that you started with the plant-based lifestyle and you just did it for health. So how did that transform into more of a vegan mentality?
Yeah, absolutely. I just started listening to podcasts and YouTube videos, and just exactly just like this, you kind of learn about the health-based aspects of it. And it was fascinating for me to learn about it. But when you're on podcasts like this, it's kind of inevitable that you start talking about the animals, you start talking about the environment. And I just started hearing all these facts and statistics, and I was like, this is absolutely just mind-boggling. And you kind of start going down the rabbit hole of veganism, and just started to translate into more of a vegan lifestyle opposed to a plant-based diet.
So as we know, more and more athletes are becoming plant-based. They're transitioning their lifestyle into this direction, mainly because of their recovery rates, because of the longevity of them in the sport. What is it about this lifestyle that, or why, let's go this way, why do athletes really, they consider their nutrition a little bit, but they don't consider everything else that has to do with the importance of being eco-friendly or the environment or the planet? The products that they're using are not always in alignment with the way they're treating their body.
Yeah, I think athletes are kind of maybe just a selfish breed because they have to take care of their bodies to perform at such a high level. So they have to take care of themselves all the time. And so that's kind of their number one priority. But if they were to start thinking of Earth as their body, I think they would start thinking of like, you only have one Earth, you only have one body. Like, why don't you put into Earth what you're putting into your body? Like, you wouldn't put a lot of stuff you're putting into Earth into your body. So why are you doing that? And so I think once athletes, I also think they're just naive to it, which is kind of why I like getting into the industry of trying to promote veganism and eco-friendliness into sports, because it is a very like, even in female sports, it's still like a very like macho kind of bravado attitude you have to have. And so it's cool to be able to get these Chris Pauls and Diana Taurasi's that are plant-based and start to, yes, it is great for your health, but let's talk about the other issues too.
So when we got new cars a couple of years ago, we didn't want to get both of the cars top models because we didn't want to have two leather cars. We had kids, so we kind of wanted to protect the car that way. And we said in the second car, we're not going to go top model so that we don't have, we're not wasting all that extra leather. When the Tesla comes, we'll have no problem. But, in the meantime, that's what we decided to do. And I really didn't make a connection to the baseball glove. And, I never really made the connection to the football. So how did you make that connection, and how was EcoSport born?
Yeah, I actually got called out by one of my vegan friends. We were playing golf one day and he was like, "Oh, is your golf glove a vegan golf glove?" And I just didn't even think about the fact that it was a leather, it was an animal-based product, and that it has an impact. And so I like started thinking about that. I started like, one of the first ideas I had to sell stuff online was tennis balls. I wanted to do like fun, creative tennis balls, make them look like basketballs or soccer balls or just something kind of fun, but it didn't work out. But I also started to realize that tennis balls have sheepskin in it, so they're also not a vegan product either. And so further I got down the rabbit hole, basketballs are leather, even soccer balls and volleyballs can have leather in it, and obviously footballs and baseball is probably one of the most leather intensive sports out of them all. And I kind of got like, I tried to find for me vegan sports products, and it was really hard for me to find equipment out there. And so I thought, well, if no one's doing this, and I think veganism and plant-based is a wave of the future, and it's just going to exponentially grow, that it could be a great market to help solve my own problem. But I'm sure I'm not the only one with this problem. As you said, you don't even think about it, and you probably have kids, and for them to be able to buy a vegan, eco-friendly, recyclable, biodegradable basketball, how cool would that be?
Yeah, and I think there are some sports where I did think about it, like lacrosse. I don't like, for some reason, it looks like leather to me, but to know, had no idea that there was animal products in tennis balls or in volleyballs. You think, like, if I would have sat down to think about it, of course, basketballs, footballs, but so that's huge. You feel like you have something to say.
Well, and I just don't know, like, football's played everywhere, right? Basketball's played everywhere. Nobody's really considering the fact that they're leather balls.
Well,
right.
or maybe they are. I mean, there are things
I
that
don't think the kids are, for sure. The kids are not. The schools are not. And are those kind of is that kind of equipment available and people just don't realize it?
Well, yeah, there's not. I mean, there is some leather alternative balls out there, and most of them are composite leather or PU leather. So it's great for the animals. It's great for the toxicity that it takes to create the leather and dye the leather and the runoff of that aspect, and for the workers. But the PU leather is still toxic to make. It's still bad for the environment. It's not recyclable. It's not biodegradable. So it's great for the animals, but some vegans would argue that like, at least leather is an organic compound that can biodegrade. So therefore they think the PU is not necessarily a better alternative. So with EcoSports, we were able to find a non-leather alternative that is also eco-friendly.
What is the PU?
PU is a polyurethane, just plastic type of material that's super cheap and easy to make. But like, I'm trying to think of like a lot of plasticky materials, like even like the tennis grips type of thing. I don't know how much tennis you are, but like that's a PU kind of leathery, because tennis grips used to be just straight leather, but now they're a fake leather. Like you can have a PU leather jacket, but it's just super toxic, for the workers to make it. Like it's a chemical intensive process to make, so it's bad for the workers. It's toxic for the the water that they have to use gets ruined, that gets thrown into the sewer system. And then the PU doesn't recycle or biodegrade, so it's just stuck in our landfills. Whereas like the material that we're using, which is actually, it's called TPU, so it's a thermoplastic polyurethane, so it's an advanced form of the PU that is recyclable and biodegradable. And it's just a much healthier and easier process to make, less chemicals to make, and all that.
And what about the quality of the products? Is it going to bounce? Is it going to feel like a basketball?
Yeah, so that was definitely a big thing for us, and an issue that we ran into for sure, is that I was listening to a podcast with the Impossible founder. Is his motto is kind of, it's got to look like a burger, it's got to taste like a burger, and it's got to smell like a burger, bleed like a burger. And so I had that theory with EcoSports, is like, as long as it looks like a basketball, plays like a basketball, and feels like a basketball, then it's a basketball. And so coming from a basketball family, my dad played college basketball, my brothers were basketball players. Being an athlete, I have other high level athletic friends. So basketballs were actually the first thing that we have. They're going to ship and be in the United States in the next month and be selling, and that's super exciting. However, the footballs, the texture was like a little slippery. It wasn't a high level ball, so I wasn't comfortable selling those. And the soccer balls have been great. The volleyballs were a little hard. They needed to be a little softer. So I wasn't going to put out a product that I didn't think would be able to compete, that I didn't think a college level player wouldn't like. If they didn't like it, then it wasn't worth selling to me. Even if we're trying to sell to an average, a 10-year-old kid that's played 2 years of basketball, like, we want it to be for all levels.
And I think that's smart too. And, it might be a smart business move to make this high level, get known for the high level. And then, down the road, if you want to make a cheaper product that's more kids play, do that, but get your reputation based on this high level, vegan leather qualities, athletic gear.
Yeah, definitely. And I was playing some pickup basketball with some friends the other day with my EcoSports ball. And I think the best compliment that I got was that nobody noticed that it was a different ball. They just assumed it was a good basketball we were playing with. And Of course, it'd be great if someone was, this is the best thing I've ever had. But just the fact that they just thought it was another ball going out there that they're playing with, I took that as an ultimate compliment.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm wondering though, once this takes off for you, are you concerned that the big companies are gonna kind of try to do the same thing? And why aren't they doing the same thing already?
Yeah, that is a great question. I just feel like a basketball, baseball glove, football is just, there hasn't been a whole lot of change in the last however many years. I definitely think they will start doing it once eco sports start taking market share from them. But I'm also would love for it to be successful, and I could retire after it. That'd be great. But I'd also love to see change in the world. I'd love to see Nike start making more eco-friendly stuff. They did a collaboration making like a new shoe with Billie Eilish, which was great because she's one of the biggest vegan supporters out there. So that's great. But the shoe's like 30% recyclable and then 70% this like just crappy material, and it's like, it's a good start. It's 30% better than everything, but it's still like 30%. That's the best you could do, Billy, on like a recyclable material. And so like we want to be, 100% recyclable material.
You got to get her to listen to this podcast and become your investor.
Yeah. We'll have to
anybody listening knows Billie Eilish, or
Yeah.
there's so many other
others.
good people out there too.
Have you been able to get any athletes on board, any pro athletes?
We haven't yet. I wanted to get I have some samples that I haven't been kind of working around with, but I wanted to be live and selling before I start going. I definitely have some great connections that I'm really excited to get. And once I'm able to give them product to start promoting them, bring them on board, doing sponsorships, the fact that college kids can now start accepting sponsorships is incredible. And it's a great outlet for us because we can start a little lower opposed to going for a Chris Paul type of thing. And I think the Gen Z and the younger generation is much more on board with the eco-friendly vegan kind of lifestyle than it would have been 10 years ago to try and get college athletes to promote an eco-friendly sporting good.
Well, I know that ordering equipment for the school that I work at, I would for sure go that route rather than the traditional ball route if that was available to us. I think it just makes sense. Just need to know where to get it from and know that it's available. I would do that. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I would love to talk to you more about that. And thank you for allowing me to be on your platform and being able to share my message. But it'd be great to be able to get into schools and allow them to have an eco-friendly option. I think a lot of school districts would like that, be able to have a green option.
And there are, I don't know, I'm sure they have this across North America, but in our region of where we live, we do have like green schools that are getting certificate for going, less waste, paper, boomerang programs where you can't throw out the food, the wrappers at school, you have to take it home to be able to recycle it or compost it properly or what have you. So there's definitely within the public system, schools that would wanting to do that. But then there's also all these private schools that pride themselves on being vegan or eco-friendly or, world-based, right? Or leading with your heart kind of thing. So it makes sense. It's not just a vegan thing. It's a planet thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a lot of private schools that are starting to go this direction, which is incredible, but not everyone can afford a private school. So it'd be cool just to even have the option and, at public schools look at the cafeteria menu on a public school. It just is, it's embarrassing for lack of a better word.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Like I know I used to have a cinnamon roll every morning at my high school. It's like just straight poison I'm putting in my body every day.
Yeah.
Well, we think it's awesome what you've done, what you've been able to see happen with your own body and athletics, just becoming plant-based and really, taking that idea and giving it a spin in a way that's never really been done before. Of course, I'm picturing about a basketball spinning on my finger as I say that. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see. But yeah, we think it's super awesome. What kind of actionable tips can you give people today in terms of just being more aware, maybe?
Yeah, we spoke on it a little bit earlier on just how you are conscious, way more conscious now of what you're putting into your body than you've ever been before. So start thinking about what you're putting into the earth. You know, a plastic bottle. You know, maybe you start reusing, get a reusable bottle. You start slow. Start with one thing at a time, and you start to feel good about what you're doing on kind of just a higher level, and your body feels happier, your mind feels happier when you start doing. Of course, this is what we think is the right thing, but you know, if you're not killing an animal, you're being recyclable, that's always the right thing to do, no matter who you are.
Troy, we often talk to people about their lifestyle transformations, and it's nice to have you on here talking about something that other people could do that have an impact on the planet as well, not just on the animals, but the environment, and by creating an eco-friendly athletic company, it's really helpful to a whole other, I don't want to say demographic, but other group of people who are looking to use equipment that is not coming from animals. So thank you so much for sharing. If people want to learn more about the company and yourself, where would you like them to go?
Yeah, ecosports.com has a bunch of information about our mission and what we're trying to do, about the material that our balls are using. We're not trying to hide anything. And so go to the website and you can learn all about that stuff. Every purchase, we donate 10% back to 8 incredible charities and nonprofits that you can pick from, and we'll donate on your behalf. And we also have an option for what is it when you ship, carbon neutral shipping on there. So we're just trying to take the right steps to be an eco-friendly company, and it's just the way of the future. I mean, it's we got to do something, and you could start. You know, if people are going to use basketballs, then let's make a green basketball.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
We'll put the link to EcoSports in the show notes at planttrainers.com. Troy, thanks so much for sharing what you're doing with us and our listeners. We really appreciate you coming on to the Plant Trainers podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and allowing people like me to share the message. I appreciate what you guys do.